You got to worry about the occupancy limit. You know, most of you will notice that there's an occupancy sign for everything.
Welcome on a Monday edition of the Vigil Show on KXVS, the voice of Stockton. I have a wonderful guest. I'm totally honored to have them here today. It's great. I have met Joni Bauer for a long time, for 3 years on the American Task Force with Disability, and now she's also representing the Community Center for the Blind and Visual Impairment. And also Elsie Hirata, sorry. And she'll also will be talking about her title, her job called case manager. Sorry. So anyway, so what's it's going to be? So I'm going to bring it up to my co-host, Connie O'Dea. So go ahead.
He gets my name wrong every time. It's O'Day.
I'm going to have a little bit off day today.
I'm Connie O'Day, the co-host for the Vigil Show. And today, yes, we have two wonderful guests from the Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired here in Stockton, California. And our first guest here is Joni Bauer. Joni is a certified orientation and mobility specialist. And what I'd like for the ladies to do today is to really introduce themselves and tell us all about how you got into your work and your educations. So I'll start with Joni. Okay, what education have you had and experiences that brought you to the Blind Center?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for the opportunity to be here today and share Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired with the world, because we are on the World Wide Web.
Right.
So this is a great opportunity. Thank you. A little bit about me, since you asked. I've been with Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired for more than 40 years. Actually, teaching orientation and mobility was not something I intended to do when I was actually in high school. My goal in life was to become fluent in several foreign languages and become an interpreter at the United Nations. And then I was involved with a service group in high school, and we had annual dances with children who were blind, who were part of an organization based in Southern California. And that's kind of where I was introduced to the field of blindness and visual impairment. Even then, I still wanted to pursue my goal of interpreting at the United Nations and moving to New York. And several years later, that organization contacted me and offered me a position as a residential counselor in the Vocational Independence Program, working with blind adults, and that's actually where I discovered the field of orientation and mobility. And the clients and the mobility instructors at that organization let me tag along, come along for the ride, literally, and wrote me very gracious letters of recommendation for graduate school, and I decided this is what I wanted to do. So I attended California State University, Los Angeles, and graduated from there and interned at the Western Blind Rehabilitation Center in Menlo Park, California at the time, and wound up in Stockton. So yeah, it's been a great ride. So I have my master's in special education with a concentration in orientation and mobility. And then I decided to go back to school in the mid-'80s. I'm old. In the mid-'80s.
No, you're not.
In the mid-'80s, and pursue a master's degree in public administration. And when I did graduate back in the '70s with my master's in special ed, I did obtain a lifetime clinical rehabilitative services credential to
What is
the public schools.
Okay, before you're going down, you're giving your title. So can you explain to me what that means as far as clinical? The previous you said something. What the previous?
Your certification.
Your certification you can. Can you explain what that means? 'Cause a lot of people will not know what you mean because as far as degree concerned, that you're very well professional knowledge is. So what does that mean when you say that? So you kind of the title you read, kind of break it down a little bit so they can know what you're going through. Okay.
I'll try to do that, Doug. In addition to having my degree and my teaching credential, I also sat for an exam administered by the, let's see if I can get the acronym correct now, the Academy for Certification of, let's see, ACV, Academy for Certification of Vision Rehabilitation and Education Professionals, I think.
Okay.
ACVREP. It started off very differently many years ago, but at any rate, ACVREP is the certifying body. It's an independent nonprofit certifying body that certifies orientation and mobility specialists and independent living skills instructors, rehabilitation teachers, low vision therapists, and down the line. And it means that an individual has met a set of criteria to perform in the profession and has met a basic standard to perform the duties. So that's what certification
So
means.
mobility mean what?
So orientation and mobility essentially means teaching a person how to use their remaining senses to familiarize themselves in an environment and then travel through that environment using either a cane, a mobility aid, another person, or a dog guide.
Oh, good. That's good. Okay.
So
Thank you.
that's kind of.
So you brought
That's
a
it.
lot of education, a lot of very good skills to
Thank you.
the Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired here in Stockton. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Now,
yes.
Elsie, I'm going to ask you the same question. Elsie is a certified orientation, no, she's a, excuse me, she's case manager and volunteer coordinator. And Elsie, can you tell us about your education and your journey to come to the position you have now?
Okay, so first I'd like to say I was born and raised in the Central Valley here in Lathrop, California, which is a little bit 15 minutes south of Stockton. I was born visually impaired. I am one of four siblings, the only one who is visually impaired, but I think with the support of my siblings that I am where I'm at today. It's formed who I am today because of the support. I found that being visually impaired, a lot of people get coddled through family and friends, where I was lucky to have sisters and a brother and actually good friends to pull me through life and give me the support. So I graduated with my AA at San Joaquin Delta College because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Just kind of young and, going through life.
That's in Stockton, California,
That's
right?
in Stockton, yep,
Okay.
Stockton, California. Kind of going through life. And then I got my bachelor's of social science at CSU Stanislaus in Turlock, California. And then I also got my master's in human resource management at the University of Phoenix online. And the reason why I did that online was because it was easier for me to do the classes online. A lot of work, but I was really, I had a lot of, again, support to go through that. And at the same time I was actually doing my master's, I was working at Society for the Blind in Sacramento, California as a store manager. I did that for a few years, and then there was a position opened up there for vocational assessment specialist, which I did that also, and that was working with clients and helping them with finding employment, giving them job leads, teaching them how to look for jobs online, dressing for success. And then I moved back to the Central Valley for personal reasons, and kind of didn't know what I wanted to do, but I still, wanted to do something working with the blind and visually impaired. And then I decided, well, let's look up the Blind Center. I found Community Center for the Blind and decided I was going to volunteer there. Volunteered there for about 6 months, and then another position came available, the case management / volunteer coordinator opened up, and so I applied, and here I am today.
Oh, awesome! So when you say you have a master's degree on communication, on what you said, I kind of lost.
Human resource management.
Oh, human resource management.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. All right.
So both of you have brought tremendous amount of education and experience to our blind center here in Stockton, California, and that's absolutely wonderful. The services are wonderful there. And Joni, I'd like to ask you, as a certified orientation mobility specialist, what do you actually do for your clients?
Well, what I tried to do is teach them to travel safely and efficiently through various environments. So sometimes, for some folks, that means showing them how to get from their house to their mailbox. Mm-hmm. For some, it means traveling between their home, wherever that may be in San Joaquin County. And let me add that Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired serves all of San Joaquin County, all 1,500 square miles. Much of it is rural.
Right.
So we cover, we cover the entire 1,500 square miles.
So that, what you're saying that you teach them to be independent,
Correct.
to traveling, like they're not be afraid because they're blind
Correct.
to go travel and enjoy their life,
Correct.
like that, right?
Correct, exactly.
Oh, awesome.
Exactly.
That's a
Thanks
very
for
encouraging
paraphrasing
coach.
that.
That's awesome. That's good. I'm really inspired. I have goosebumps.
So sometimes, as I said, that means just teaching someone to get from their house to the mailbox. Sometimes it means teaching them to, board a plane or a train and travel across the country. Independently,
Right.
you bet. Using another person as a guide, that's a means of mobility. Using a long cane. I don't teach dog guide travel. That's relegated to the schools, to the dog guide schools
Right.
throughout the country. Mm-hmm. However, if somebody is having a specific issue with a dog, I can try to troubleshoot and then make recommendations. Let's see, what else? Also teaching body awareness. It's very interesting when someone has been able to see for an extended period of time and then loses vision, how their body awareness sometimes becomes a little maybe not quite as accurate as it used to be. Their ability to determine their position in space and then travel through that space sometimes becomes a little bit more challenging.
No.
So
Can
working
you
with that.
explain why that becomes so challenging then?
Essentially because of the absence of vision. So it's kind of like it's 85% of what we learn visually.
Right.
And when that's taken away, especially if a person has been a visual learner for most of his or her life, it makes it a little more challenging to just learn in an entirely different way, whether it's auditory or tactile or a combination of both.
I think a lot of us out there and the viewers, you don't really understand what people with visual impairment or who are blind, what they actually have to go through. And what Joni has said is very interesting. You lose one sense, and then you've got to learn to relive your life without that sense. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the average person really can relate with that and realize that that's what happens.
I agree.
That's very interesting.
And when I was in graduate school, I had to go through 3 months of orientation and mobility training, cane travel training as a student in Los Angeles, California. I went to school at California State University, Los Angeles. And times were a lot different then, a lot simpler than actually. Traffic configurations have become just amazingly complicated over the last 40 years.
Yes, I think
it's not as easy to cross the street as it used to be.
So what I
trust me.
When it's good, you made a very good point about when you lose your 5 senses, your eye. But most people who I have encountered, that are becoming blind through diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's high. It's a very, very high percentage when it comes to diabetic. 'Cause right now, with me, I'm legally blind without my glasses, and I cannot see when it gets dark. I cannot see now. Everything is black. Can't see the road. I can't see the light. But the only thing that helps me is a little night light. Right. And that's the only thing that, because I'll bump into the wall. My eye will not dilate through those dark things because I cannot see. And not now when I go outside, even the moon is still bright, I still cannot see the ground. I might fall into a hole.
So Doug, have you been losing your vision because of the diabetes?
I've been losing from two cars, one for hypertension and one for sugar that comes too high. So when I take my glasses out, my vision goes this way. It's kind of one far away, out of sight, and the other one kind of close in. So I have like maybe they told me I had 600 out and 20 negative. So it's kind of, I'm not registering where I
forgot to sign that.
So
We have to remember.
I'm sorry.
So excited.
I can finger spell. I can. We may be here all day.
Who need his signing.
I'm sorry. My vision is 600 out and 20 negative this way. So it's due because I have and also I have cataract. It's natural, but when you get older, they said that it's very common. It gradually deteriorates. But at the same time, some people will feel some kind of numbness feeling that they're, as you get older, we tend to lose our senses of smell, sense of taste, sense of losing eye coordinated. So when we talk about young people, they don't know what's happening. Like you have to teach them to blindfold or cover their ears for becoming deaf. It's a lot of being blind and deaf. It's not being recognized either. So I do believe that, and I hope that there are also a program for that, interpreting that are deaf and blind, that it's very hard to communicate. Like the mobility specialist, mobile. I want to be independent too if I become blind again.
Absolutely.
That's what
Absolutely.
Joni was talking about.
And that also includes using public transportation as well to get from point A to point B. And my kind of silly analogy is, first of all, somebody has an origin, they are at point A, they want to get to point B, then they have to figure out the way to get there. And that's essentially what orientation and mobility is. My role, as I like to say, is it's teaching people how to get from point A to point B without getting run over by an 18-wheeler. Unfortunately, that's getting increasingly difficult. But I think we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show. So
now I'll turn over here to Elsie. Elsie is a case manager and volunteer coordinator at the Blind Center. Elsie, would you like to tell us about your work and what you do?
A lot of it deals with working with the clients, getting new intakes, information, and keeping up with our current clients, and making sure that the clients get the services that they need, which we can talk about our services and programs in a little bit. I also recruit volunteers for different things, for our different programs to help out with. I was talking to Doug about Healthy Living earlier, which is one of our social programs. We go out, we take our clients who are signed up in the class grocery shopping for one of their classes. And so sometimes we need volunteers to go out and help throughout, within the grocery stores to help the clients, find what they need for the class. Because what we'll do is go grocery shopping, and then for the next class, they'll prepare the meal. So healthy living would be an ongoing thing, but volunteer coordinating we need for some of our outreach events, and we also need them for our fundraisers. So we always recruit volunteers. It's an ongoing thing. And then again with the clients, that is ongoing. We make sure that because sometimes when someone comes in for an intake, I give them the list of programs that we offer and services, and sometimes they're not ready. So they can contact me in a year or so when they're feeling like they're ready to come in for orientation and mobility. Because a lot of times it's new to them. Blindness is new, and so they're trying to accept it. And I'm giving them all this information, and it's overwhelming for them. But a lot of times they are reassured because, being myself legally blind, low vision, they see that there's hope out there. Because I'm usually behind the desk with the computer doing things, quickly, efficiently, and they just get really impressed by it. But for me, it's natural because I've been blind my whole life. I don't see anything different for myself. For me, it's not amazing. It's not different, but for other people, it is, because they don't see that there's hope out there. But when they come to our center and they see our clients and all the things that we do for them, they want to become more independent. And that's one thing I really enjoy, watching clients flourish. And that's one reason why I'm at the center, is because it's something that I'm passionate about.
Well, I know there's a lot of technology that is directed specifically for those with vision impairment and who are blind, to be able to use computers and other types of technology devices. And I know that you do teach computer technology at the center.
Mm-hmm. Assistive technology.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one of your teachers
Our
was on our
instructors,
show.
yes.
Yeah, that was very good. Because
You mean hi?
Uh-huh.
Pro?
Hi.
Mhm.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, he's
And-
Very good. I
Does a
learned a
great
lot
job,
of
yeah.
acronyms. That was good.
Hi is very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
He's up on the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
And I think what you were saying about the fact that for people when they become blind and have had vision, it is a new adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that it's scary, and like you said, you have to wait till they're ready
Mm-hmm.
to learn new ways of doing things.
Yes,
And
definitely.
then you're there for it. That's wonderful.
I am. And it's just exciting to I just had a client recently who's been in my system for about a year, and they came back and said they're ready. And so I'm excited to introduce them to assistive technology, because now they're asking me, now what programs do you have? I want to be able to see my nephew or my grandchild on Facebook. And so we do that, and then they're like, well, but I have a hard time cooking, so that's where independent living skills comes in. And we teach them options of how they can do things in their home. They get really excited. And so,
Do you have volunteers, or do you go to their home for them to learn how to cook within their own environment?
yes. So that makes it even more comfortable for them, so that they're already comfortable in their home. And then we are just going in to, first of all, do an assessment to see how they're doing things. And then we give them those options of learning how to pair their clothes together, learning how to do their finances, even going to the grocery store, which is going to be kind of combined with orientation and mobility and independent living skills, because you're going out to learn some cane travel to get there, and then when you get there, you've got to learn how to ask the questions if you need somebody from the store to help for assistance if you're by yourself, and what you're looking for and the right questions to ask.
Well, you certainly have a big job there.
Yes.
That's
So
wonderful.
Elsie, before we go to the next question. The question is, I'm really when you go to the family, the people that, like you said, making an adjustment from independent, do the family, who they're supporting their sibling or their son or daughter, do they also learning as the process goes? Because sometimes all of a sudden they're someone is blind and they've never been with a blind person for the first time, became blind. Do you counsel them to making some kind of adjustment or something like that?
The family or the client?
Family, both of them, both the client and the family, or the spouse, or the mother, or whatever. I mean.
We don't counsel, Joni. We pretty much work with the client because we're really training with the client and giving them, their alternatives. Sometimes family members are there watching because they want to see what's going on, and they, hopefully will learn from what we train them that, that person that we're teaching will be able to do it on their own, because a lot of times family and even friends or people they live with don't believe that someone who is blind is going to be able to cook for themselves without burning the house down,
right,
or do the laundry without turning everything red or pink, which isn't the case. And so a lot of times we work mainly with the client.
Oh, great.
Can I just interject something here?
Certainly.
And Elsie makes a very good point. But I think it's very important to remember that vision impairment not only affects the individual, but it does impact
The
family and friends as well, because everybody has to make the adjustment.
Okay.
So, and we find, or at least I do, because I'm the one who goes into the clients' homes to provide the training, both orientation and mobility and independent living skills. And sometimes, families are a little reluctant for a client to learn to be independent because of exactly what Elsie said. They're going to turn everything pink in the laundry, or they'll burn down the house. But safety is paramount. So, if nothing else, my goal is to try to teach people to be safe in the home and implement safe practices. I will say that over the 40 plus years that I've been teaching, my students have taught me a lot. And there are best practices for doing things, but not every way is the correct way. And
Right.
very often, clients find a much better method that's more conducive
Right.
to to the way they function, and as long as it's safe, it works for me.
So, an interjection to that, being blind all my life, I've always done things, I've learned to do things, or I've got picked up things, but at the same time, I learn things from other people who even are newly blind, because
Exactly.
it's just a learning process all the time. And for me, I'm always open to new ideas, and then it might work better for me than the way I've been doing things all my life. So,
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
So your programs are pretty versatile, depending upon what is really needed and what each individual client needs, and that's excellent. That's excellent. I know Elsie had said that she serves on a committee called SELIT. Let me see if I can say it right. Supported Employment Living Interagency Team. Now,
Yes.
can you tell us and tell the viewers what that is?
it is a group of teachers, instructors in San Joaquin County, teachers, informational persons, TVIs, who are teachers of the visually impaired, and teachers of all disabilities, not just the blind, who get together every quarter. We keep up on what's going on with each other. We give each other information on things that are going on in the county that could help, whether whether it's autism, autism with blindness. There's so many disabilities that you're not really aware of, and just being on this committee, I'm learning about the different disabilities that are throughout the county, and that's what we have in this group. It's a whole bunch of people. We even have Department of Rehab counselors that are there because they also work with the clients. We have people who are counselors for transitional persons with disability who transition to adult either jobs or college. So it's a diverse group of people that I wanted to, become part of, because a lot of times blindness isn't only the disability that is available now with clients. And so I want to be aware of what's out there, and so that's why I chose Sell It.
Well, it sounds like a great organization. Very good.
So
And-
hold on before we go
Okay.
there. So people that are not familiar with Stella, you're saying that are there teachers are representing the family that from Stockton District and Manteca District? Are you like all teacher instructors that include the information together?
Mhm. It's certain teachers, because not everybody will go because their schedules are
Okay.
hectic. But people try to go to these meetings every quarter.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, it sounds like a very good organization, and its sharing of everybody with all the different types of disabilities is excellent. That's absolutely excellent. Now, Joni, I know that you serve on quite a few different organizations, and you have been serving on one organization, you said, for 40 years plus, and at one time was president of the California Association of Orientation and Mobility Specialists. Can you tell us something about that organization and about your other organizations you belong to?
Sure.
Hold on. Let me spell it out. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. The California Association of Orientation and Mobility Specialists, better known as KAOMS, is a statewide organization, the mission of which is to facilitate personal growth and support the roles of O&M specialists in the fields of rehabilitation and education of individuals with vision impairments. So essentially, it's a way to network with other professionals in the states, in California, to provide statements of position concerning quality standards, professional ethics, liability, legislation, population trends, all that sort of thing, and to disseminate information amongst the public about orientation and mobility. So it's essentially to create public awareness and to be able to network and let people know, increase community awareness about the field of orientation and mobility, which is actually still relatively new in comparison to so many other fields. When I was in, and I'm really dating myself now, but when I was in graduate school back in the 70s, the field of low vision was just in its infancy.
Right,
And
it
assistive technology was virtually nothing at the time. So researchers were just coming up with vision simulators at the time, but it was a whole different way of doing things the way we do now. So technology has come such a long way in 40 years, as has the field of orientation and mobility. As far as the other committees I serve on, the City of Stockton Mayor's Task Force for Persons with Disabilities, and that's actually how I know Doug, but that's actually working with individuals and agencies that serve people with disabilities to advise the mayor and city council on issues affecting persons with disabilities and provide recommendations to city council on the City of Stockton ADA self-evaluation and ADA transition plan. And one of the things, and that sort of ties in with another group that I'm active with, is the Department of Aging and Community Services Older Walkability Group. And in that group, I work with members of the Commission on Aging and San Joaquin County Public Health Services to create walkable communities throughout San Joaquin County.
Now, is that for people that have vision impairment and also not vision impairment, but they're aging individuals?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yes, correct.
Very good.
Correct. And that committee, we also make recommendations for infrastructure repairs. So, in fact, I just submitted to the City of Stockton Public Works Department a list of sidewalks within the City of Stockton, California, that are in dire need of infrastructure repair. Not so much curb cuts, but just repair, because the trees have uprooted or the concrete has been chipped away and there's nothing left of the sidewalk. So those kinds of things. But as we know, everything takes time and money.
Exactly.
But the City of Stockton really is very good about doing what it can as expeditiously as it can when things are brought to attention. The other thing is I have, over the years, worked diligently with various departments of public works throughout the county to install accessible pedestrian signals. So those are some are still chirps and cuckoos, the old ones that you hear, and the ones that tell you, you know, walk sign is on. So it just depends where you're at and what technology a particular city is using at a given intersection now, because of course things are being updated all the time. But
so that's a good question about street walk. I have noted that that's a very good that you've fallen apart in that committee when it comes to walking. I noted that, for example, the city have their own street walking, and the county level they have their own street walking. So they're not the same. They're not consisting on that.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so go ahead.
About the only thing that's consistent,
Okay.
and federal guidelines have been established over the years, but about the only thing that's consistent is on the chirps and the cuckoos is which streets they're letting a person know that the walk sign is illuminated. So just because a person hears a chirp or a cuckoo does not mean that it's safe to cross.
Oh, okay.
It just means the walk sign is on. That's all it means.
How would they know whether to cross the street going north or cross the street going west?
So if the sound is a chirp, that means that the walk sign is lit to cross the street on which the traffic is moving north and south. And if it's a cuckoo, then it's the street that's moving, where the traffic is moving east and west. And that's pretty consistent. Unfortunately, not even the placement of pedestrian call buttons, you know, the activation buttons, is consistent. You know, some you have two buttons, one button for each street on one pole. Some have separate poles. Some are, you know, you have to search high and low to find the button.
Jump over a bush.
Yeah, jump over a bush, exactly. So that's still pretty inconsistent, although the guidelines that have been established now, cities and the localities are much better at following those.
Do they also have Braille for those buttons too?
There's a way to tell which button one is pressing. Yeah, that's a little O&M secret. So.
But okay, the only thing that I have noticed that I hadn't really encountered, that there was somebody who pushed the button to the crosswalk, and it didn't give enough time for the person who was in the cane to cross to 1A, like 1.8 to safely, because it didn't even give enough time to go right in the middle yet. It just kind of
that happens with cars too.
Yeah, so how would they know if you think the flashing light that we have it on Weber, on El Dorado, where they have the theater, And when you hit the button and it has the flashing light, it doesn't mean the car will stop.
Correct.
And that's kind of scary because I got my guy hit because they just kind of go around and they don't bother to stop. So I got hit almost got hit missed because they just knock the horn and just cross over.
And if I can explain something about that, the lenses, those are called in-roadway warning lights, and the lenses that are in the crosswalk lines are yellow. So that means drivers have to exercise caution. The lights are not red. They do not have to stop.
Real? Oh, no.
That's, well, yes.
I know, but that's scary.
So, I know, trust me, I know. So, the problem is the drivers don't have to stop. The flip side of that, though, is the pedestrian is in a crosswalk, and especially if a person is carrying a cane, by law, the white cane law, it means the pedestrian has the right of way.
Well, it sounds like, and it may be in your city too, that there needs to be an education of the city and the county councils for the community to understand the crosswalks, understand what the lights mean, and understand how to drive to protect people who are not only with a disability, but without a disability. And in the crosswalks, here in California, you are not supposed to cross the crosswalk until the person is totally out of the crosswalk.
Correct.
And that law and procedure has not
been
really enforced. And I think what's necessary is the advocates for disability or advocates for safety driving in our cities and counties, we need to be educating all the people.
So this seems like a good time to share with everyone our White Cane Safety Blind Americans Equality Day, actually just up the street at Caldwell Park on Tuesday, October 17th at noon, and it's
17th?
free. 17th.
October 17th.
At noon, and the event is free, open to the public. We welcome everybody to walk with Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired. We'll walk a nice stroll down the historic Miracle Mile.
The staff and clients.
And maybe as far as Harding Way, maybe as far as Worlow's. And then Worlow's is very generously donating 20% of sales that day to those folks who dine in or take out. That day, October 17th, between, I believe it's 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yes.
And if you mention Community Center for the Blind or bring in the flyer, and that is on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/ccbvi. So we would welcome everybody, and part of that is we will distribute top 10 things motorists should know about pedestrian safety, especially as it applies to people who are
For
blind or
those of
visually
you out
impaired.
there viewing, Worlow's is a very great restaurant, very popular restaurant on the Miracle Mile on Pacific Avenue here in Stockton, California. So all of you here in the county and viewers out there, make this a special day. It's a wonderful, wonderful
I
program.
personally enjoy coming their event. It's really nice. It's all community support. Everybody encourage it. I really love it. I enjoy it. I've been there last year, and it was wonderful. It was good.
It's a fun day.
Yes.
It's a fun day, and we may even have a special guest at noon that day.
A special girl.
Oh.
Awesome.
Special guest.
So you have to come to find out.
That's a surprise.
You have to come to find out. Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
Elsie and Joni, can you tell us about any other of your fundraising programs throughout the year so that our audience will know about them?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, she said. First of all, I'm going to try to get this in the camera. But Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired will host the first ever in San Joaquin County Dining in the Dark on Friday, October 27th, 2017. The event will be held at the Waterloo Gun and Bocce. No Host Bar opens at 6 with dinner at 7. And the unique thing about this event is guests will have the opportunity to wear sleep shades.
What?
Guests will have the opportunity to wear sleep shades, blindfolds.
Oh, okay, blindfold. Okay, sleep shade. Okay.
Because removal of vision will help to give greater awareness of the other senses. So the Dining in the Dark event will give a glimpse into a very unfamiliar world for most people. And Chef Paul Ratto, Heritage Dining and Provisions at Waterloo Gun and Bocce, will prepare sweet and savory delicacies using fresh local ingredients. The $75 ticket includes a 7-course meal, blind olive oil and wine tasting, door prizes, raffle prizes, silent auction, a lot of friendship, good company, fabulous food, and a really good time.
Can you give us the address of the Waterloo?
Waterloo Gun and Bocce is at 4343 North Ashley Lane in Stockton,
California.
Stockton, California. That's right. There's more than one Stockton on the planet. And so
That's right.
That's right. I have to remember that. And you certainly tickets are on sale now via the Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired's website at www.communitycenterfortheblind.org, and you can securely purchase tickets right from that website. And then, of course, we have October 17th, White Cane Safety, Blind Americans Equality Day at noon at Caldwell Park. In January, we will be hosting our annual crab feed, date to be determined. And then in February, our 10th Pedaling Paths to Independence bicycle ride. It's a recreational bicycle ride to benefit Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and that will be on Saturday, February 24th at Da Vinci's Delicatessen and Catering in Linden. And there are 2 routes, 25 and 65 miles. It's in the dead of winter, so it's a pre-season bike ride, kind of the first in the area for the year. And it's a very fun event. We have a lot of community support. It takes 70 volunteers the day of the event to pull it off. So
So tell me, to those people who don't know, who probably who would love riding bike, how do they ride with the blind on their bike, or they have a attachment, or what kind of bike do you provide them to help?
I'm glad you asked.
Huh?
I'm glad you asked.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
For anyone who is blind or visually impaired who wishes to be a tandem stoker.
What did that mean?
Stoker is a person who rides on the back of a tandem bicycle built for two, a tandem bike. So for anyone who is interested in being a stoker, I have a lot of friends who are willing to pilot their tandem bicycles.
Which I told Joni I would do.
Elsie's going to do it next year.
So it's on record. I said I would do it.
She's going to do it.
Yeah.
Good for you, Elsie.
You will do it?
I want to do it. I said I would.
Okay, awesome. So in other words, a person, would they have to bring their own bike? And let's say I want to volunteer and I have somebody in my back. So if I have a mountain bike, is the rent or the blanket rent out? We have to pay for it, or what?
Well, there's a fee.
Okay.
Okay, there's a fee involved to ride. people who are blind or visually impaired don't have to pay. Yeah,
Okay.
they're guests of the event, and we have a lot of very, very generous sponsors who support that endeavor.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
We also have tacos and tequila
thank
on
you.
May 5th.
Oh, cool.
More information to be determined on that. But
that's-
can't forget the tacos and tequila.
well, this last year, Doug and we belong to the Stockton San Joaquin Lions Club, and I'm president of that club. And our members helped out this year with your
Pedaling paths.
pedaling paths. I don't know if anybody rode a bike, but I know that they helped out with serving lunch. So they volunteered, and we support that. And you will be seeing us at this
Event.
and probably at all your upcoming
yes.
events.
Thank you.
Most
We appreciate that.
definitely.
We definitely appreciate
We
that.
appreciate that very much.
Our past president is a client with the Blind Center, and so we keep up with everything that you're doing and support it 100% with our Lions Club.
Thank you.
And are there any other programs that you have during the year that you would like to talk about before we close?
We do.
We do.
actually. And Elsie, do you want to start, or would you like me to start? Or-
So we have, we sponsor every summer. We do summer youth, ages 8 through 17. We take the kids throughout for each week from ages 8 through 13. We do one session, and then we do another session 14 to 17. We take them throughout the community. We teach them. It's always a learning process with them, because we teach them independence, independent living skills, O&M, but at the same time give them a taste of fun. Like this year, we took the clients to kayak, and some of them, it was their first time to kayak, be in the water, But then we also took them to RTD to experience the buses.
Now, what is RTD?
Regional Transit.
San Joaquin Regional
Transit. We also had them make their own lunches. So that's one of our programs is Summer Youth. And then we have Second Saturdays, which we are in the middle of developing and getting out there. And that's for youth transitioning to adulthood, going into college or high school or jobs.
Okay, we're kind of real close in. 3 more minutes. So
Okay,
you had
I'm
any
gonna
last
talk
minute to say as
fast.
fast
I'm
as
gonna
3
talk
minutes.
fast.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm going to talk fast.
Okay.
And then we also have our older individuals who are blind program that provides services, rehabilitative services to foster independent living for individuals 55 years of age and older. And that's in partnership with the California Department of Rehabilitation.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and if anybody needs anything, equipment is courtesy of the grant that we received from that. And then we also partner with Department of Rehabilitation Blind Field Services. The rehabilitation counselors work with consumers to find educational and employment opportunities and help them obtain employment. So included with that is the consumer and the rehab counselor work together through working with the Blind Center
Right.
to find out what folks need to obtain their goals, and then work with them to get them the things that they need. So with the Department of Rehab, we've established a wonderful partnership with Blind Field Services Division and the older individuals who are blind program. And on that note, I would like to add that Department of Rehabilitation just renewed Community Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired's certification as a community rehabilitation program, which means that the agency meets some pretty stringent standards with the state. So we're
And we're
pretty
able to
proud of
provide
that.
all those programs and
Yeah,
services
so
for the clients.
we're pretty proud
Well,
of that.
on that note, we have to go
You're
right
close.
now. I
Time
have
flies.
to go. We thank for everyone for watching our segment, the special edition of Monday of Doug Vigil Show. I'd like to thank Joni Bauer and Elsie
Hirata?
Hirata and Connie O'Day, my co-host, for helping me out for our show. Thank you so much, and thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you.
The Voice of Stockton, KXVS. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo!
You're listening to KXVS on 92.